Hey everybody, welcome into our latest episode alongside Penguins President of Hockey Ops and GM Kyle Dubas. I'm Josh Getzoff. Kyle, show number 3 on the year. So you're in single digits till you hit the finish line. Appreciate you being with us.
Just happy to be here.
Happy to be with you. Listen, it's been a busy last 24 hours or so for you and your staff, and we'll get to that. But I wanted to ask you about this recent road trip and particularly how it ended. And I hate to start the show on a sour note, but we all know how things went in Toronto on Monday night. I'm curious, though, if I could kind of dovetail that result into something that you've talked about a lot, and being when you're faced with adversity, how your group responds. I would say that's probably the biggest dose your group's been faced with in a game this year. And what do you expect here in the days moving forward?
Yeah, I don't. My view of it is, I think that that game is a great snapshot into where we're at. Mm-hmm. We have 2 periods where I would say are fairly dominant, up 3-0 and not really conceding anything. They had 3 shots in the second period. Mm-hmm. And then third period begins, and right away, rather than going out and doing the things we need to do to close out the game, we start to let them back in the game. Obviously the 3 goals in just over 3 minutes. But all of those goals off of fairly, basic failures to do the things that we need to do to be at our best. Mm-hmm. And so the way I view it is, it's an opportunity for the coaching staff and an opportunity for the players to say, what do we want to be? Because if you look at the third period, Minnesota, later parts of the game in Winnipeg, first 2 periods in Toronto, even go back to the third period in Philly, right. We show what we're capable of. And it's a matter of, are we willing to do the things that we have to do to do that for 60 minutes and then start to, 60 minutes to weeks and stretches of games. They're all going to be perfect. They're all not going to dominate completely every single time, but we've shown ourselves and we've shown everybody what we're capable of when we're really focused on the details and we're adhering to the system that Dan and the staff have put in place. So now comes a decision point, because I think that the game could in fact be something that really propels us ahead, because within the game you have 40 minutes of great hockey and then 20 minutes of really poor hockey. Mm-hmm. And obviously you end up, when you play a team that has that talent, you lose. Mm-hmm. So now it's up to us to determine how we want to respond.
Well, responding will first take place Thursday against the Washington Capitals, but that'll kickstart another 3-game in 4-day set. You guys have been busy out of the gate. The 9 road games ties Calgary and Vancouver, going into Wednesday night's action for the most in the NHL. I mean, you can't make your schedule, but what do you make of how you guys have handled it?
You can.
You can? Okay, yeah. All right. A little bit of inside information there. If you're Kyle Dubas, I guess you can.
I just think it's a number of things this year, and teams are going to deal with this at different points in the year. I think we're actually fortunate that we're getting it at the beginning of the year. Okay. It's an Olympic year. We have a trip to Sweden mixed in, where the schedule is going to go from very busy to essentially down to, we got the game on the Friday and Sunday of the Sweden trip, and nothing bookending that on 5 days before and after. So, I think that complaining about the schedule is like something that you would do if you're looking for things to complain about. We have all the resources here to put ourselves in a good spot. We have, the best travel in the league here, and this year it's a little distorted because when they put out those rankings of travel this year, they're counting the Sweden trip. But whatever. I mean, we're pretty fortunate here. The resources that we have, the staff that we have to make it as easy as possible. And I think the beginning of the year has actually been fortunate for us because it's allowed the group to come together with longer road trips. Obviously, that'll be doubly so coming up on next Monday when the team leaves for Sweden.
Yeah, it's been busy, but the results have spoken for themselves. Penguins 8-4-2 out of the gate, but a couple of curveballs thrown on the roster front that we'll get to when we come back. So stay with us.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on SportsNet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Welcome back. Well, this guy and his staff very busy on Tuesday ahead of our conversation here Wednesday. Sergei Murashov has been called up. We'll get to him in a second. So too have Danton Heinen and Ryan Graves. But I want to talk about the reason those guys have been called up, and that's been 3 players that have been regulars in this Penguins lineup going on IR. Let's start with the goaltender, Tristan Jarry, who just played in the loss to Toronto on Monday night. What's the latest on him?
I think Tristan, after the game, I think he had kind of grinded, it was brought to light that he had kind of grinded through, something in the third period that was nagging him. And yes, they did the scans and came back that he's going to be out for a minimum of 3 weeks in lower body. So we'll get that taken care of. Obviously, it's been a great start for Tristan. So I think with this comes an opportunity to continue to push and allow him to, continue to grow himself and come back strong, knowing that he's going into this situation having played some really good hockey for us. So, that said, it's just the next man up, and as everyone here has kind of clamored for, Sergei Murashov has gone down and had a really good start, was named the AHL goaltender of the month, and that's sort of just what you have to do. You have to develop your players and have guys ready, regardless of where they're at, to be able to come up and in the lineup when players get hurt. And I think especially this year, you look around the league, like you watch Carolina last night, they win in New York, they've got 3 of their top 4 defensemen out. So right. I think complaining about injuries and just wear and tear, it's fruitless. And we just have to be ready to next guy go in and just continue to roll.
And we'll get to Murashov in a moment, but I wanted to ask you about Justin Brazeau as well as Noel Acciari. And Acciari hurt in that loss to Toronto. 2 different kind of injuries, but 2 guys that have shown themselves to be pretty dependable forwards for your group early on.
It's very different roles, but I think, Braz came in, and I think our view in signing him was he hadn't really gotten any opportunity to play higher in the lineup anywhere. He'd earned his way, obviously, ECHL in Newfoundland, and then American League, and in Maine again, and then American League in Toronto and Providence, and obviously know him quite well, know he has that scoring touch, and I think he's just been a great fit with Gino. So it's unfortunate for him that it's at this stage, but again, a chance to use this time to be able to come back bigger, well, I don't know how much bigger he's going to get, but faster, stronger, and be in a good spot just to continue where he's left off here. And then obviously Noel Acciari, a lot of injuries last year. I think just with the way he plays, he's going to accrue some, and how he's willing to sacrifice himself and his body for the team. And that's a tough one, because that line, I think, had been really dependable for Dan. So and not just going out and getting hemmed in the defensive zone, but being like, I don't think they had like 1 or 2 offensive zone starts the whole year. But being able to go out in the defensive zone and drive the play up the ice against anyone they were out against. Not always perfect, but it had really become it had a strong identity to it. And so it's a tough one for Noel, because I thought this was also some of his best hockey he'd played in his time here. So again, though, another opportunity to work with the staff, continue to develop as he comes back and gets 100%. So just continue to bring up the guys we felt were playing best in Wilkes and plug them in and keep rolling.
You mentioned minimum of 3 weeks for Jarry. Is there any kind of timetable for Brazeau or Acciari?
I think both. They're all in that same range. I think Braz is a bit longer, but about a minimum of 4 weeks. The other 2 are minimum of 3, but you never know on which side of that it's going to land.
Okay, all right. So some sustained time out for those guys in the Penguins lineup, and that brings us to Sergei Murashov. And you mentioned people around here have been clamoring for him for a while. He is only 21. He's seeing his second full year of North American hockey action, but presumably in the coming days he'll see his first NHL action. I know it's obvious when there's an injury. You said next man up, but why did you feel like this is the opportunity for him to jump in now?
He had a great camp and great exhibition season, and I feel like we've talked this one to death already. We felt it was best for him to just go and own the net and play there, and just to continue to be himself, and you know what you're going to expect from him. And if you look at the history of guys that have had success, they've been able to string together long stretches of time down there, and there's always going to be something that's going to happen with injuries or with different things that happen through the year that are going to create the opportunity. Both the guys that played very well up here, Artie and Tristan, but this is what happens. Guys get hurt, and you've got to put yourself in the best position to be ready when the opportunity comes. To Sergei's credit, he goes down. There's no sulking. There's no complaining, despite how great a camp he had in exhibition season. It was very, very clear to him why we were making the decision we were making. Both the other 2 guys had played well in camp. They start off the year here well. he goes down and has an excellent month, and it puts him in a position now to come in a really good spot with a lot of confidence. He's the AHL goaltender of the month. It's as easy a decision as you're going to have to make in this role, and now he'll have the chance to come in here and obviously with the upcoming schedule with back-to-backs, he's obviously going to get one of those games, and we'll just see how it all unfolds here as the week goes on. The downside is that on the positive for Tristan and for us, we don't have a lot of games coming up for the first 3 weeks of this month. But I think with that said, lets him work with Andy Kyoto and our staff and be ready to roll. We go to Sweden, then we come back, we have a back-to-back, so it's another time we're going to inevitably need both guys to continue to roll.
One guy I did want to ask you about is Joel Blomqvist, who I don't want to say has been lost in the shuffle here, but he is injured, and I think because of that, he's not front of mind for anybody. With Murashov coming up, there's a trickle down throughout the organization. Where does his injury stand, which I'm pretty sure he's had since kind of the beginning of training camp?
Yeah, he played in exhibition and then was injured in practice, I think in the first or early in the second week of training camp. But he should be starting to work his way back. I think the projected return is next weekend, just a game action, which will come in Wilkes, obviously. Right. So we'll get fortunate there because we'll have to bring a third goalie to Sweden, and we'll likely that would likely fall to Philip Larsson. And but yeah, that's where Joel is. He's trending in the right direction and should be returning to game action in the next couple weeks.
Okay, good news for him as he gets back to playing action in the Penguins or Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins net. So a lot of ground to cover there. We mentioned the other two players that were recalled from Wilkes-Barre, and Ryan Graves and Dan Heinen. We'll talk about them and some young players in the Penguins system that have been shining bright in the early going. Those guys as well when you come back.
The road to puck drop begins on Penguins Tonight. A first look at the latest game news, stories from around the league, and so much more. Penguins Tonight, 1 hour before every game on SportsNet Pittsburgh. Presented by Morgan & Morgan.
Welcome back. We've talked a lot about the roster moves. Two faces coming back to Pittsburgh, our familiar NHL faces, Kyle. Guys that were waived at the end of camp, cleared waivers, went to Wilkes-Barre, in Ryan Graves and Danton Heinen. They're back up with Pittsburgh as of yesterday or as of Tuesday with the roster recalls. They went down there and they performed. So, kind of take us through the process of bringing them back.
I think with veteran guys especially, they handle it. It's very binary. They either go down and they're not thrilled about it, but they go down and they get right back to work, or they go down and they sulk and then it goes sideways. In both players' cases, Danton, we not only asked, he was put on waivers, cleared, went down, and then we moved him from playing wing to center with Wilkes, so he changed positions, and then all he's done is be tied for the league and the lead league in scoring in the American League, and brings versatility to us, can play all three forward positions and power play, penalty kill. So we'll just look for him to come up and let it fly, just continue to roll. And we have Kevin Hayes that's trending towards coming back. So where it will stand in the end here, we'll see. But I think it's a great opportunity for Danton, at the very least in the short run, to come back up and he's been a very good NHL player for a number of years, and it just the way it shook out in camp, and I think he would speak openly about that as well. Gravy, I'm probably happier for him than anybody. Obviously a long-time NHL player on a long contract. That's a tough thing to handle, to be able to, and to his credit, he's gone down. He's been awesome around the room and with the team in a leadership perspective, played massive minutes and really used the time there, in watching their games as they played, the confidence with the puck, the ability to defend. He's used it to really build himself back up. So our key now is that we don't want to screw that up. Let's just continue to build on it. I think it's been a player there's been a lot of discussion about in his time here. It hasn't gone, I think, as anyone projected, but now is his chance to change the story, and he's done the work in Wilkes-Barre and made such a great impact down there. And it was fun, especially in the last couple weeks, watching him. You were legitimately watching, and you couldn't help but be happy for the way that he was playing. So we gave Pick the first shot at that position. We have to do what's best for him in the long run. That was the messaging to Owen yesterday. Now we'll allow Ryan to use everything that he's built back into his game and his time in his Wilkes in just a month and get back up here and keep rolling.
Yeah, we've seen some classic photos of Ryan Graves with the pickaxe down there and the busted lip. So hopefully he can get player of the game up here in Pittsburgh, being back in the Penguins fold with the Capitals looming on Thursday. I did want to ask you about a couple guys in the system that, I mean, we're all paying attention from afar. You're way more zeroed in on some of these guys, I'm sure, especially this most recent round of draft picks, since you had the 3 first-rounders and you had 13 picks in general. And 2 guys that have popped, at least amongst the rest of the group, are Will Horcoff and Jordan Charron, and 2 guys playing in different situations. Charron in the OHL with the Sioux Greyhounds, of course, and Horcoff with the Michigan Wolverines. Can you take us through their starts and just how pleased you are with these guys early on?
Well, I think there's a lot to be excited about in the whole, like, that this last draft class. It seems like every time you get an update, from either Tom Xtopoulos or just the group at large, there are different guys taking different steps. Then you can go back many draft classes to Zan Plant, and he's having a great start at Duluth and had a massive night on Friday night in Grand Forks against University of North Dakota. It's a tough spot to go into and a great place to have a 4-point game. So it's been exciting that way, really exciting. The 2 players you asked about, Will. It started off, he was putting up big numbers kind of in the early non-conference portion of the schedule. And then it was, okay, can he sustain that production level and impact on the game when it starts to become more inside the Big Ten or the opponents become a little bit more challenging as happens as the year goes on, especially for a school like Michigan.
Right.
And he's continued to do that. I really think despite the production, we're not really even scratching the surface with Will, and I think that was what Wes Clark and the staff felt when we picked him, was that he's just he's obviously a massive kid with the ability to score that he had throughout his whole youth hockey career.
Right.
That hadn't really manifested as much at the program. Then when he went to Michigan last year, he started to put up better numbers, and I think with Wes's belief in him and the staff's belief in him, we made the move to move back up and pick him in the trade with LA, and I just think he's got massive potential in all regards, and we just have to keep working with him and working with Michigan. When it comes to Jordan, obviously it's someone that I follow closely because he plays for the Sioux, and I'm never too far removed from that. But I didn't think the messaging to him was that in Buffalo and in training camp, just he's at his best when he's really competitive on the forecheck, winning pucks, and then being able to create his own shot off winning pucks and off the rush. And I think that was the messaging given to him when he went back. It was, don't focus on the production, focus on just making the impact on the game, competing, getting under the skin of the opposition, big and strong on the puck, and then if you do that, you're going to create your shot. You have a good enough shot to be able to score, and you're going to create off of that. And to his credit, and to the credit of the staff and the Sioux, that's what he's done, and he's putting up those numbers. He's not on the top power play unit, or he wasn't in the last stretch, and so it's pretty special that he's been able to put up those, be able to score at that rate. So we're excited about them. I think you're always excited about your young players. We just right now happen to have a lot of them, and they happen to be all producing at a high level at the same time. We're going to have moments in the year where it's not as bright, but it doesn't deter us from our belief in them in the long run. So it's exciting.
College hockey, obviously, I mean, you mentioned the OHL, but college hockey started to take a bigger spotlight, I guess, in the last year or so in the United States with NILs and whatnot. But when you think about Horcoff, you think about Cruz Lucius, Zam Plant, I mean, they're all there in the higher end of scoring. Maybe even, I might have been wrong, but I think it's like top 5 at the NCAA, at least in goals. Like, these 3 guys seem to be lighting it up. That has to be, when you look around, you see the Penguins right there. That has to be encouraging for your staff.
It's always nice to see and the defensemen don't get as much credit. The defensemen, I think, are also, we've been happy with them. They're not going to pop up on the leading scorers in the nation, but I think when your guys are all trending in the right direction, I think it's a huge credit to whether it's major, junior, Europe, or their college program. It's a credit to them. It's a credit to Tom Xtopoulos and his staff, and obviously it's always a tip of the cap to Wes and the job that he does on the player personnel side.
covering all corners of Penguins land here on this episode. But we're going to take a step to Sweden when we come back. Penguins, as Kyle mentioned, next week going to be over in Sweden for the Global Series. We'll discuss that experience when we come back.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers to that.
At the front, did they score?
We manifested it. Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
Well, this time next week, Kyle, we will be in Sweden, part of the Global Series, the 2025 edition, Penguins in Nashville, Predators in Stockholm. This is not the first time. It's become pretty popular. It's become pretty regular within the NHL calendar. It is the first time for the Penguins since 2008 they're going to go over and play in Europe. Just from your perspective, have you been involved in any of these kind of things before, and what are you looking forward to?
I have not actually. In my last year in Toronto, we had done the agreement to go over, and it was my first year here. They went over and played 2 games.
Oh, with Detroit, right?
It was the last year before they renovated actually Avicii Arena.
Okay.
It was the Globe.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Avicii Arena back then as well, but they were renovating it, and so it was that was the last event before they were closing it to renovate it, and then it opened back up last year. Mm-hmm. So now we're going. So I've not actually gone over and participated in any international games in my time yet. So it's a new experience for me. We were just there at the World Championship in that building last year and in Stockholm for a couple weeks.
Right.
And we had scouting meetings there last year in Stockholm. We have scouting meetings again during this event next week. Mm-hmm. So it's a great city, great hockey city, and I know it went on sale when we were over there in the spring last year, and it was sold out pretty quickly. So It'll be a fun environment, especially fun for Erik Karlsson and the Swedish players, but also I think even like Philip Hollander, the guys on both teams that are not only just from Sweden, but from that area where it's not as easy. And then from our perspective, it's a rare chance for our European scouts to see our team play live. And so it's exciting, and it's be a great event, and I know the players are excited about it.
Actually, something just dawned on me while you were saying that. I remember when you were over in Sweden for the World Championships, that kind of began very lightly, the coaching interview process. Did you have your first chat with Dan Muse while you were in Stockholm?
I think we talked to every head coaching candidate for the first time. A few of the interviews were from Budapest.
Okay.
And but Dan's first and second interview were from the downtown Scandic camper in Stockholm.
There you go.
Yeah.
So where it all began for the Penguins and Dan Muse. Well, Kyle, we're really looking forward to that trip. That's going to be next week, of course, the Penguins with a few games between now and then. Wish you the best of luck. Still looking for that Twitter follow, so we'll see whenever it happens. But in the meantime, thanks for doing this. Appreciate your time.
You got it.
All right, that's Kyle Dubas. I'm Josh Getzoff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will talk to you next time.